Hello students, how are you doing today? Today we're going to be reading an article together. This can be found on pages 30 and 31 of your packet. It's must do 1.8 and the learning objective for 1.8 is students will be able to make connections between the 1950s and today regarding housing discrimination. You might want to go get some highlighters if you are a person who likes color if that helps you focus and remember things, which that's kind of how I learned. So I have highlighted key ideas in blue, and I have highlighted key vocabulary words in green. So if you want to pause right now and get those, you can. All right, but I'm going to go ahead and continue with this article. The title of this article is Discrimination in Housing Against Non-Whites Persists Quietly, U.S. Studies Finds. It was written in 2013. The author of this article is Sean Donovan. Sean Donovan, the Secretary of Housing, said that hidden racial discrimination doesn't make it any less harmful. Discrimination against Blacks, Hispanics, and Asians looking for housing persists in subtle forms. Let's look at the definition for discrimination and subtle. Over here in the comments side of the article, here I've written, discrimination is the practice of unfairly treating a person or a group of people. Subtle means not immediately obvious or noticeable. Some synonyms for subtle is tricky or devious. So getting back to the article, discrimination against Blacks, Hispanics, and Asians looking for housing persists in subtle, we could say tricky or devious forms, according to a new national study commissioned by the Federal Department of Housing and Urban Development. Though less likely to face overt obstacles, overt means obvious, like being refused an appointment to see a home, minority customers were shown fewer available units than whites with similar qualifications, the study found. They were also they were also asked more questions about their finances, according to the study, and given fewer offers of help financing a loan. Although we've come a long way from the days of blatant, in-your-face housing injustice, discrimination still persists, Sean Donovan, the department's secretary, said in a telephone conference on Tuesday, unveiling the findings. And just because it, meaning discrimination, has taken on a hidden form, remember it's subtle, doesn't make it any less harmful. In each of the study's 8,000 tests, we're in paragraph 4. In each of the study's 8,000 tests, a test being referred to here was an experiment or study that took place where white and non-white people would pose like they wanted to rent an apartment or buy a home to see if they were being discriminated against. So some white and non-white people were basically posers, posing that they were going to buy a home or a rental unit to see how they were treated, right? So here we go, back up to paragraph 4. In each of the study's 8,000 tests, one white and one minority tester of the same gender and age, posing as equally well-qualified renters or buyers, visited the same housing provider or agent. In more than half of the test cases, both testers were shown the same number of apartments or homes. But in cases where one tester was shown more homes or apartments, the white tester was usually favored, leading to a higher number of units shown to whites overall. That's not fair, is it? Let's look at paragraph 5. In one test, a white customer looking for a 2-bedroom apartment was shown a 2-bedroom and a 1-bedroom and given applications for both, while a Hispanic customer who arrived 2 hours later was told that nothing was available. What? In another, a real estate agent refused to meet with a black tester who was not pre-qualified for a loan. If you're not familiar with what a loan is an amount of money that is given to a person who's going to buy a house or an apartment in a big chunk. They pay off the company that they're buying the home from or the apartment, and then the person who took out the loan has to pay it off over over multiple years. Often it takes 15 to 30 years to pay off a loan for a home. Okay, that was kind of a side note, but let's get back here. So in another, a real estate agent refused to meet with a black tester who was not pre-qualified for a loan, while a white tester was given an appointment without being asked if she had pre-qualified. Not fair. Paragraph 6. The study was the fourth of its kind since 1977, when the results showed a starker form of discrimination known as door slamming. So that was in the 70s. They did this door slamming. In 17% of the cases in that study, whites were offered a unit when blacks were told that none were available. That's not fair either. In 2012, when the new study was conducted, the vast majority of testers of all races were able to at least make an appointment to see a recently advertised house or apartment, but once they arrived, they were given fewer options. Overall, black and prospective renters were presented 11% fewer rentals than whites, Hispanics about 12% fewer rentals, and Asians about 10% fewer rentals. As prospective buyers of homes, blacks were presented 17% fewer homes and Asians 15% fewer homes, but Hispanics were given the opportunity to see roughly the same number of homes as whites. So you can see the discrimination going on here, right, guys? It's not equal opportunity being given. Let's look at paragraph 8. White testers were more frequently offered lower rents, told that deposits and other move-in costs were negotiable, or were quoted a lower price, taking into account fees, deposits, and rents. Apartments were more likely to cost whites slightly less in the first year of rental than blacks might pay. More discrimination going on here. We are on paragraph 9. I'm just trying to move this down a little bit. Okay, paragraph 9. The study did not examine discrimination in lending practices, though there is already considerable evidence that minorities have suffered significantly from predatory lending and were far more likely during the housing boom to be offered subprime loans, even if they qualified for cheaper conventional mortgages. Paragraph 10. The tests were performed in 28 metropolitan areas, but found no substantial differences across cities or regions, the authors wrote. Marjorie Austin Turner, a senior vice president of the Urban Institute, the research group that conducted the study, said that buyers and renters with poor credit or other blemishes on their financial records had experienced more pernicious forms of discrimination. Let's look at that word pernicious. If I can find it. It's over here in the comments. Here we go. Pernicious means causing great harm or damage in a way that is not easily seen or noticed. Kind of similar to the word subtle, which means that something is happening that you don't really notice it right away. Something's happening in a sneaky way, underhanded kind of. So anyway, she was saying buyers and renters with poor credit had experienced more pernicious forms of discrimination than the well-qualified customers in the study. The findings probably understate the overall levels of discrimination in the market today, she said. Paragraph 12. Even the subtle discrimination like steering minorities to certain neighborhoods or failing to offer them homes most likely to increase in value would result in substantially weaker accumulation of wealth, said John Tyler, the president and chief executive of the National Committee Reinvestment Coalition, which seeks to improve housing in undeserved communities. Polling shows that many Americans think financially stable customers have the same opportunities to obtain good housing regardless of race, he added. A study like this, he said, helps you understand that there really is very different treatment occurring when it comes to things like housing and lending. We're going to stop there because I'm way over time, but I will be discussing the questions in the next video. If you need to re-listen to any parts of this, because I was trying to go kind of fast because of time, go ahead and listen again if some things didn't make sense. We'll see you in the next video. Thank you.